greatest fear in leaving was, what about our kids? What about my family of origin? What about my ward and my neighbors who are LDS? What about my friends? Especially, what about everyone who walked me through the darkest and hardest seasons of my life, where my Mormon faith really shined down on me and gave me something to hold on to? How could I possibly disappoint? And how could I explain that? And it seemed like it would be a betrayal to them. Where for me, it was just this shining beacon of hope and truth. But how do I explain that to people? So when we left the faith, I was the only one in my family. And I mean, I had maybe extended family, like a couple of cousins or something like that, who had already left. But in close proximity with my family of origin, I was the first to go. And it was very disappointing to my family. I remember when I told my parents that I was struggling, my dad looked me straight in the face and he said, "Emily, I taught you this from the time that you were a child sitting on my knee." And I could tell how very brokenhearted he was. We've studied Genesis a handful of times, and we've gotten into Exodus a handful of times as well. And it's beautiful to read Genesis with the buildup of everything that's happening in the beginning. And then when you get to Exodus, there's just the story of God rescuing the Israelites from Pharaoh it's a phenomenal study. And what was amazing to me is how God rescued them, and they're pressed up against the Red Sea. And as soon as they see the Egyptians coming, they immediately lose faith. And I love the phrase, "Were there no graves in Egypt? You've brought us to the wilderness to die." And I have felt like that in my new faith with family relationships and work situations, just different things that had come up after we left the Mormon faith. It was like, God, you did all these things. You showed who you were in our faith journey. We know who you are, just like you showed Egypt. You showed Egypt who you are. And here we are, and we're in this really difficult situation, and our enemies are pressing down on us. Were there no graves in Mormonism? You've brought us into this new faith, into your family, to die? And that was God's answer, to just stand firm and watch the salvation of God. The way that God has helped me through that is, first of all, he gave me new community. Old friendships that kind of dried up and withered away were mourned, but God did a remarkable work of renewal in new community, new friends whose relationships were actually rooted in Jesus. And I don't think there's any better friendship than one that is rooted in being part of the body of Christ. And in relationship to my family, well, I've told them that I no longer believe the truth claims of the LDS Church. I had to do the long game of showing them through experiences with us that we were not only okay, but we were thriving as a family because of Jesus, because of our new biblical faith. And all I could do was be Jesus to my family. And since that time, there are a handful of family members who have left. One family member in particular sent me a text of apology for the way that she treated me in my faith transition, and said, "I recognize that you didn't have anyone to walk you through this, and I'm so grateful that you're here to walk me through it." And God gave us new community as a family, and gave my children stability through Jesus. And so it was multifaceted for sure, but it was done with faith in God, knowing that God is faithful, and I found that to be very true. And in all these areas of my life, my family of origin, my children, and community and friendships, God did a miraculous work of some relationships were severed, but then he brought a newness of relationships and friendships that are invaluable.